Alright guys, so real quick while my coffee is brewing, I'm going to get into a little instructional video on how to hold an AR-15 rifle, okay? Very specifically an AR-15 rifle, okay? Because I don't have an AK-47 and I don't have, I do have a bolt action rifle back there, but that's a little bit different, okay? That's chambered in .308, so the stance is going to be significantly different than holding a AR-15, okay? So here I have two AR-15s chambered in 5.56. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick safety check before I forget. Okay. So of course the magazine is on the table. And I have the other one with the side charging handle, and I think this is pretty cool. Okay, it's empty. All right. So. All right, so check this out. What you're gonna do, what you're going to want to do is figure out a stance that works for you. Okay. And what I mean by stance is, if you guys look at boxing, if you look at MMA, if you look at the UFC, these guys have stances based on their fighting style, right? Whether it's taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, you have Krav Maga. I would compare a firearm stance best to, I want to say boxing. Boxing would be the closest thing I could relate to, okay? A lot of times with boxing, if you see the guys, they have an orthodox stance or they have a southpaw stance. Okay, southpaw is a right lead foot, orthodox is a left lead foot. Okay, they have a slight bend in the knees, they're leaning forward just a little bit, and they have their arms tucked into the stomach, fists balled up, protecting their face. Okay, boom. So from that stance, they can slip, dodge, roll, pull, strike, roll up under, all that great stuff, okay? I used to box a little bit, but that's how I know that type of stuff, okay? With firearms, it's not that big of a difference. Now, with firearms, you have the isosceles stance, feet, shoulders width apart, slight bend in the knees, lean forward, grab that gun, execute, okay? Then you have the Weaver stance, which is sort of like the boxing stance, okay? You got a lead foot, you got a rear foot, body slightly turned, aim, execute, okay? Now with rifles or any type of firearm in particular, I prefer the Weaver stance, right? Anytime that I get into firearms, I like to train as though it is a self-defense situation. Why? Because of muscle memory, okay? If you get into the muscle memory of using the isosceles stance and somebody comes up and rushes you with a gun, they're gonna knock you on your back. And the last place that you wanna be in a gunfight is on your back, okay? Now, if it's for recreational purposes and you wanna stand in that isosceles stance, fine, perfect, great. However, if you're training for self-defense, what I prefer for everybody to do and what I highly recommend is for people to have support in their back, okay? You don't want somebody to rush up on you and push you down or knock you down, okay? So that's stance, okay? So this is the stance that I'm gonna choose as though I'm boxing, getting ready for a fight. So if I have to take off, okay, I can just take off. Okay, if I have to retreat, I can retreat. If I have to charge, then I can charge. Okay, if I'm here with my rifle and I have to go this way, boom, I can take off. Okay, if I'm here, I can take off this way, right, back. Okay. So that is covering the stance. Okay. Now with the AR-15, or any rifle for that matter, especially if you're dealing with self-defense, you want the butt of that gun to go right there in that shoulder, okay, between that pec and that shoulder, pec and shoulder, in between there. All right, so I have on a two-tone shirt, I guess that's what you call it. So that's a perfect example of what I need to use. Okay, so that butt of the gun is gonna go directly on that line. Okay, so when I'm shooting, okay, I'm here, have a slight bend in my knees, lean forward just a little bit. Okay, this is my trigger hand, my shooting hand, my non-dominant support hand. Okay, so I'm bringing it here, boom, 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 boom. Okay, now if you have a longer hand guard, then you can do the C grip. Okay, of course that left hand is going to be further out there than if you have a smaller hand grip like I have here on my rifles. Okay, and that's the purpose of me bringing both of them out instead of just one. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Which one am I going to start with first? Let's do the one with the longer grip. Okay, longer hand guard. Okay, so here, this one is clear. Okay, I think I did that earlier in the video. This one here is clear. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to hold this up at a 90-degree angle. Okay, people with shorter arms, the stock is going to go in just a little bit further. People with longer arms, the stock is going to go out a lot further. Okay, so fortunately I have a longer reach, so that helps me out with boxing, hand-to-hand combat, self-defense, all that stuff. That really helps me out because I have a significantly longer reach. I don't have to get in close and fight and get right here in order to hit you. Okay, so I'm about 6 feet tall. I am 6 feet tall, and I think I have a 72-inch reach or wingspan. Okay, so with this, my stock is gonna extend all the way out here. Okay, to the fullest length. Okay, notice I have it at a 90-degree angle, and it's touching my bicep. Okay, now with this rifle, what you're gonna want to do is put the stock firmly up against your shoulder. Okay, so remember the stance, right? So I prefer to stand in the Weaver stance. Okay, 1 foot back, 1 foot forward, body facing the target. Okay, and it's firm and driven into my shoulder. Okay, got my little front sights, rear sights, booyah. All right, so I got you in my sights. Okay, now the reason why, now with boxing, you're gonna have your, or any self-defense, hand-to-hand combat, you're gonna have your body sitting at a slight angle, right? Because you don't want to get hit. Now, with a shootout or a shooting, self-defense, whatever, you don't want to get hit either, okay? The only difference is if a punch grazes you, it's not going to hurt. If a bullet grazes you, yes, it's still going to hurt. Now, I digress. That's neither here nor there. If you get shot, you get shot, okay? Now, with this one, the reason why I'm saying that your body is going to be flat is because you want better recoil control over your rifle, okay? So here, right? If you're standing at an angle like this trying to shoot, okay, that means you have to put more energy and more muscle effort into your shoulder, okay? Instead of it just being a natural hold, then you have to turn this way and force your shoulder out. You want to save as much energy as possible, okay? So if you notice, I'm gonna put this down for a second. If you notice, if I'm shooting here, right, and my body is flat, my shoulder naturally is angled to where I can lock it in to this little pocket right here. Okay, cool, fine, great. But if I'm here and I'm standing my whole body at an angle, then that means I gotta force my shoulder forward, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to have to force anything. You just want to be able to relax. You don't want to be tensed up, because when you tense up, then that means you're putting forth a lot of energy. And when it comes to these guns, when it comes to self-defense, you want to save as much energy as possible. Because when you're tired, when you're exhausted, then that's when you start shaking. When you get fatigued, then you kind of have that doubt in your mind that you're ever going to make it out. Okay. Now, I prepare for self-defense situations. Other people might prepare for recreational purposes, but I like to prepare for self-defense situations. Okay. So with this one, the right hand is the trigger finger. The left hand is helping you out with recoil, follow-up shots, and grouping. Okay. Recoil, follow-up shots, and grouping. Recoil, follow-up shots, and grouping. Okay. Recoil has to do with how hard that gun jumps back. Any gun that you have is going to have recoil, whether it's a 22, a 45, 9mm, whether it's a 5.56, 223, 7.62, whether it's a 50 cal. It's going to have kick. It's going to have a recoil. Okay. What you want to be able to do is control that recoil as much as possible. Okay, while saving as much energy as possible. Okay. Now, with a longer hand guard, they have this thing called a C grip. That's what you do with your non-shooting hand. Okay, you can do it with your left or your right. Okay. Now, basically, that non-shooting hand or the non-dominant hand is pulling the rifle back to your shoulder. Okay. While it's pulling it back, it's preventing it from jumping too far up. Okay. If you ever look at pistols, right, the reason why they tell you to have a higher grip up under that beaver tail is to keep it from jamming. Okay. With a 9mm, I love 9mm, by the way. The 9mm pistol, if you're shooting it, of course it's going to jump back. Okay. But you have control over that flip. If you let it flip too much, what it's going to do is catch that casing that it already tried to get rid of. That's where you have jams and stovepipes and everything like that, and you don't want that. Now, with this rifle, it's a little bit different because it's shooting out to the side. Okay, every time a casing is dispersed, basically what it's doing is flicking out to the side. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to worry about that, that stovepipe or that jam or anything like that. Now, can they jam? Absolutely. Any gun can jam. Okay, cool. But what you want to do is hold it down for recoil. Okay, because recoil also has to do with your follow-up shots. If you don't have control over that gun and you're constantly shooting, right, and it's jumping all over the place, and it's just jumping, boom, 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 right? So if I don't have good control and it's just doom, 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 all over the place, right? I won't have good grouping shots and I won't have good follow-up shots, okay? So what you want to do is have a firm grip on it. Let's see how far back I can get. You want to have a firm grip on it right there, okay? You want to have your body as flat as possible so that you can manage recoil and so that you can have a better grouping shot, okay? Now with this, it may be a little bit more simple to control rather than my other AR-15, okay? Which is one of the reasons why I put a foregrip on it, okay? This one I don't necessarily have to have a foregrip on because I have so much space and I have so much room to grab where I need to grab. I can grab all the way up here if I want to, okay? So that's helping me out significantly, okay? So that's helping me out significantly, okay? Now, I think that one is a little bit more, it may have a few more ounces on it than the other one. Not because of the accessories that I have on the other one, the light and the foregrip. It's because of the fact that the hand guard is made out of steel and not polymer. And it's a little bit longer, okay? Now, I'm gonna go over the same thing with this one, okay? This one is empty, the magazine is on the table, okay? Now with this one, it's the same concept. 90-degree angle, make sure that it is sitting right there on your bicep, okay? Use that left hand to pull it all the way back to the shoulder. All right, So you remember the stance. Use that left hand to pull it all the way back to the shoulder. Now with this foregrip, which I think I might try to get a better one. My hands are a little bit longer, and I like stuff to fit flush in my hand. But I'm not gonna really get into that right now. If you have a pressure switch, which I have on mine, don't laugh, because I'm still building, okay? Don't laugh. So I'll put my pressure switch right here, and my thumb is here, okay? So I can still have a firm grip on that gun and not worry about it jumping all over the place, and still be able to reach my pressure switch when I need to turn it on, okay? So I can still turn it on and off at will, and it works just fine, okay? Let me see. Now, because I have this little light on here, it really doesn't weigh that much. I think it may weigh 7, 8, 9 ounces at the most, but it doesn't really add that much weight to it. Now, if I had this light and this foregrip at the end of that rifle, then yes, it would add just a tad bit more weight, or it would feel like it's about 3-4 pounds heavier, okay? Now, as I said before, those little tricks and tips actually help out with recoil, grouping, and follow-up shots, okay? There are some tips and drills and exercises that you can do to help build up the muscles in your arms, your shoulders, and your back, okay? Just holding up that rifle like this started to burn a little bit. So I'm starting to do exercises every 2 or 3 days in order to help me build up the muscles in my back. And I'm doing it with both arms, just not my right arm, doing it with my left arm, okay? Because eventually what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to learn how to switch, okay? So if you're clearing the house and there's a corner on your left side and you need to peek around on the right, what you're gonna have to do is, of course, switch over here, all right? And it's the same thing. If you have a corner on your right and you need to peek around the left, then you're gonna have to learn how to maneuver it from here as well. So that's the reason why I say you should try these exercises with both arms. And the exercises are just simply holding it out here. Okay, hold it out there for as long as you can. Okay, flat. Don't do it down here. Don't do it up here. Just hold it flat right here. Okay. You also want to hold it above your head. Okay, just simple, plain. If you can, try to do it as long as you can, but if you want to do it in increments of, say, 2 minutes, that's perfectly fine. It'll help you. It'll definitely help you build up your stamina and your endurance when it comes to these rifles. Also, you may find yourself in a situation where you have to hold your rifle with one hand, okay? Let me be the first to tell you that is the most tiring thing in the world, okay? So say, for example, you're in a self-defense situation or you're in a home defense situation and you're trying to protect a family member, okay? You're trying to push them in the direction of safety, okay? Some people flat out panic when they hear gunshots going off and they don't know what to do, okay? They go off of muscle memory, okay? But if they don't have any muscle memory or any training in that area, what they're gonna do is freak out and just run everywhere. Run any place that looks safe, okay? They may be running directly into the bad guy, but in their mind, that's a safety precaution, okay? That's where they're gonna go for safety, okay? When bad things happen, the human mind does one of two things. It either fights or flights, okay? Fight or flight, that's the two main things. Now, you're gonna find yourself in certain situations where you're gonna have to hold that rifle like this and keep somebody away. Or you're gonna have to give off signals like, look, y'all go that way. Listen, please, get out the way, stay out the way. Move, stay, back, back, get over there, right there. But you're still gonna be able to shoot if you're able to hold that rifle right there, okay? You might not have the most accurate shots, however, you'll still be able to put some shots on paper, or shots on that target, okay? It's the same thing with this rifle. Actually, I think this other one might be just a tad bit heavier. Yeah, I think this one might be just a tad bit heavier. Okay, it's the same thing with this one. Still gonna be doing the same thing. I would suggest doing the same thing with the other arm. Okay. You don't have to move around per se, but just try to hold it up for at least 30 seconds at a time, right? And what you want to do is not keep that elbow out here because it's going to make it a little bit more strenuous. Try to keep that elbow tucked in as far as possible. Okay? Use your face to help balance out that rifle. Okay? If you notice, it's a little bit harder to do it here than it is if you put your face down into that rifle. Okay? Keep your face down into that rifle. That's why they have cheek wells on these stocks. Okay? That's where you want to be able to place your face every time that you pull up for a shot. Okay? If you look at the long range rifles, they have that a lot on their stocks or their braces, butts, whatever you want to call them. I'm not going to get all technical and everything with the terminology. But a lot of times that's what they do. They rest their cheek right there on that stock. They're aiming down the optic, the scope, reflex sight, magnifier, whatever you want to call it, iron sights, and that's how they're easily picking off their shots, picking off their targets, okay? I definitely appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching this. If you have any more questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts, noises, squeaks, squawks, or whatever you have, leave them down in the comment section below and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Peace.